Kim here with tip number 2. Hopefully I can make this quicker than the last one because I got to half an hour and decided to start over. So I want to show you how to create content in WordPress, and I have a lot to cover. So I'm going to dive right in, and we're going to start off with the title. Is this a good title or not? Who knows, right? If you're like, hey, I don't know what to come up with for a title, consider ChatGPT to help you. And that's what I'm going to do. So I wrote this out. I'm going to refine this later, right? So I'm starting with this, but it might change. So I have my title here, and then I have an image, and then I have content. So some of you are probably like, whoa, what happened, Kim? We were just talking about setting up our WordPress site. Where'd you get this content from? I actually wrote it, but you can, I'm looking at my notes. You can use AI if you want to, and that's kind of up to you because there's pros and cons to it, and there's benefits and disadvantages, which is the same thing. And then there's also people who say it works and it doesn't work, right? So there's plenty of arguments on every side about everything, and it's really kind of up to you. So if you're relying on search engine optimization or showing up in the first page of search results, it's going to take a while. And there are multiple people that have said that they have ranked on the first page that are using AI, right? They might use ChatGPT, they might use something else. In fact, most of the time they use something else, not ChatGPT, because that's open source and anybody can use it. And it's easy for Google and other ones to reverse that because they have that OpenAI had that connection. Anyway, so how you create content is up to you. I found that AI is not as detailed or as accurate as I would like. So I just write my own content. But not everybody wants to do that. I understand that. So then let's see. Okay, so we did this is the title. So this is what they call an H1. So a heading 1. Down here, this one is an H2. You can make it any of these. And a lot of people ask, well, if I have an H2, because normally you go title and then your next headings are going to be H2. But then if you have subsections within that, they might be H3, which I have in here. I have H2 and H3 headings. I might even have H4 headings. But the reality is that you really don't need past H2. So if you want to make everything an H2 heading, that's fine. You do not need to go any deeper than that. They're literally read as headings. I do it that way, H2, H3, H4, because that's the way I was taught, and that's like ingrained in me. So it's not wrong, but it's also not required. Let's see. Then this is just paragraph content. So let's just come in here and I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to say enter. This is the block formatting here. So they say type / to choose a block. So you can do the / and you can choose one here. Or if you don't want to do the /, you can look over here and there's a plus sign right here. So you can browse all the different blocks if you want and add it in. So they have pull quote here, which says give special visual emphasis to a quote from your text. You could do that. If you have a good quote that you want to highlight. Details list, heading is, again, we already talked about heading. Paragraph is just the regular content. Here's if you want to put in a quote. And then here's pre-formatted. Add text that respects your spacing and tabs and also allows styling. So you can play with these if you want to find something. If you're like, hey, I just clicked enter and I want to start typing, you can, right? There's no requirements on that. But if you want to enter an image like this one here, in fact, we'll just delete this one out. And you hit the plus, and then you can say image. And you can either upload an image it'll pull from here, from your whatever your default one is, or you can go into the media library and you can upload files here. You can drag and drop straight into here. And then this one, I already have it. So we're going to click on that. And this, I have the title and the alt text like I mentioned before. So we're going to just select that. Now it's huge. So I'm going to resize it manually like that. And right here, I can align this to the center. So you can play with this to see, like, if you theoretically can link from images out. It's not required. In fact, I would argue that unless it's going somewhere like onto another one of your internal pages, it's not really necessary. You could do it for external, but there are some disadvantages to it. So it's hard to caution you for all these different elements. So I would say just don't link with the image. Now, I do have links in here. So I'm going to look at my notes. So, where to get images. So we talked about AI for creating content, but what about images? I actually used AI for this image. This is from DALL-E in ChatGPT, right? So this, I created the image, but it had some weird writing on it, and this was the closest one that I liked. So it had like little symbols on here and stuff. I was like, I don't want to offend someone. So I threw it into Adobe Photoshop and removed that. I'll put a link in the description to that video that shows you how to do that if that's something you have and you're interested in. Otherwise, you can just generate whatever you want or, crop and do things if you want to edit. I also love Midjourney. I've mentioned that in other videos. I love Midjourney, but I tend to play in Midjourney and make lots of images, and then like 2 days have gone. So I try to keep myself out of Midjourney as much as possible so I don't waste a couple of days doing images. All right, so then we did header versus content. There's no penalties for the headings. And then headings are a good spot to put keywords or alternate keywords. So if you have like 5 keywords that are similar and you're like, I can't write an article with all 5 of those keywords, you should just combine them and use them alternatively throughout the article. So like in here, I'm not doing a focus keyword, but you should make content as a focus keyword. But in this particular article is just one huge article about the kit. And I might go back in and refine this so that it says disaster kit or something throughout it multiple times. We'll see. So, but you could put here, this is checklist quick links. I could put for disaster kit or for your disaster kit. And that would be now if disaster kit was my keyword, now it's in there again, right? So headings are a good spot to put that because it basically, it probably reads it normal like it regularly does, but headings have more power than regular content words. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't still include it in your content, because if you just have it in your headings and not your content, Google thinks you're gaming the system. So write naturally as much as possible, but then we're going to use Yoast to kind of refine this. So word count. Word count over here, you'll see I have 7,351 words. I'm going to tell you now, more than likely, somebody's not going to come in here and read this article straight through. I already know that. I understand that. I have it broken out to do that specifically so people can do it in chunks, right? And I'll talk about that in just a second. But for word count, there's I don't want to say controversy, but there is conflicting information. One school of thought is people are only going to read maybe 10 minutes worth, right? And if you look at this, 7,350 words at 39 minutes, the word count recommendation for search engine optimization is about 3,500 words. But if people aren't going to read the content and you have it at 3,500 words, then are you going to rank? Probably not. So the reality is that you have to just write the amount of content to fulfill whatever it is you're promising. I promise to cover some tips and points about the disaster kit in this one. And so I have to have everything about the disaster kit in the one article. I don't expect this to rank. I expect this to be a resource or a reference for people if they need to look at it for anything specific. If they're like, hey, I want to check and see what my list needs for this, they can go to it and look at it, right? So it's more like a I want to say like an appendix or, something like that. That would be like a resource. So I understand that this page is for that. I have other pages that I intend to hopefully rank, and those are going to be keyword specific and everything. But I just want to show you how the content works, right? So word count is roughly 4,000 words or less should be fine if you're looking for search engine optimization. Otherwise, just write the amount that you need to get the point across. Whether it's longer or shorter is irrelevant. Good content is going to rank over bad content regardless of the length. Okay? So good content. Word count, arbitrary, but recommendation is generally 3,500 words. Then for search engine optimization, links, external and internal. So you want internal links and you want external links. So external links are ones that go outside of your website. So right here is ready.gov, right? So if I click on that, it's going to take me to their page, ready.gov. That is an external link. Linking to a .gov site or a .edu site, things like that are pretty safe because it's not really a competition, right? I mean, it could be theoretically somebody could say, hey, you're competing because you're talking about it, but I'm actually talking about their list. So I want to make sure that people can actually access it if they need it, right? So being helpful is more important than specific sources. So if your friend says, hey, link to my website, and it's not related to anything on your website, don't link to it because that wouldn't be beneficial to your viewers, to your readers, right? So in this case, I link appropriately to external sources, and you don't have to do all of them. I used to do where I would link to Wikipedia and I would link to like dictionary.com or something like that just to have something, but those really aren't very powerful or helpful. Sometimes it is. If you have like a word that people probably don't know, then you can probably link to dictionary.com or some other source like that, and it would still be helpful. So as long as it's helpful, it's good to link to it. If you're like, hey, I don't have anything external I can link to, find something major in your niche and link to it, because that helps define what your page is about, which is also why you don't want to link to a random page that has nothing to do with your content, right? So people are going to understand that. I say people, the algorithm, when it's reviewing it, it'll understand better that, oh, if I'm linking externally to ready.gov, then I must have a similar topic, right? So it learns what my site is about and what the page is about based on the external links and the internal links. Now, internal links are, this is my first post so far. So internal links are a little bit harder to do without more posts, but I can show you a page. So let's say that I wanted to add in, check out my privacy page. I'm going to delete this in a minute. I can just highlight what I want to have the link. So it could be like one word or it could be like the entire section. But whatever I want to link from, I can highlight that. And this is as important internally as it is externally. So the theory is, and it's been a long time since I've used the word link juice, but the theory is that if your website, let's say that there's a website that's really popular that links to you, right? They would call that good link juice and strong link juice for that matter. I could be making that part up. It's just, they call it link juice. So it's a powerful link coming back into your site. Once you link out, the theory is that you are sharing that credibility with where you're linking. And people use that to help manipulate what they do for internal and external linking. But again, it's not like Google doesn't know this. They know this. And so they look for that kind of behavior. So what you're doing is your external links need to be helpful and identified, but you also don't want to, like in this case, I do have one that's contradictory though. Where's the thing on the checklist? Oh yeah. So like this is the list from the ready.gov checklist right here. If I were to say, and in fact, I think I had it there and I just accidentally deleted it, where it would say ready.gov checklist. And so I could link to the ready.gov checklist. So ready.gov list. This is their build a kit one. And so I can copy that and I can come back to this spot right here. I can paste that in and hit enter or hit that little return on the side. Now what I want to do is I want to click on it and I'm going to click edit and click on advanced and I'm going to say open in a new tab. And the reason why is because if you don't say open in a new tab, and you've probably had this happen where you're like, oh, this is interesting. You click on it and it just goes to the next page. So if you want to get back, you have to hit the back button and hope that something doesn't break, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've done that. I've been on like an actual site doing something, the FEMA site for the independent study courses. Oh my gosh. You click click here to learn about such and such, and it overrides something else that told you to click on. I'm like, seriously, somebody's got to redo their buttons. So open a new tab makes it so yours stays open, and then the tab opens, and now when they close it, they can go back. Oh yeah, I can finish reading your article, right? So there's a benefit to open a new tab. If this was an affiliate link, we would also tell it that it's sponsored. This is newer and required. So if like Google sees this and it's an affiliate link, it's going to penalize your page if you don't have it. So no follow. So if I hit sponsored, if I say hit that was sponsored and I come back to that, I forgot to hit save. Save. So if I come back to that, it automatically puts a no follow in. So no follow versus do follow, this is a do follow if you don't have that there. Is that critical? Is it not? It's not like Google doesn't see that. It's just that it doesn't want you to manipulate stuff. So it's asking you to put in it appropriately, right? So that's the external linking part. Internal linking, if I'm going to do internal linking here, I can click this. And because I have a privacy page already set up, I can hit privacy because that's the name of the page and it'll come up with a page. It'll do the same thing if I had posts. So I click that, and now this is linked internally onto my own website to my privacy page. Now, that's not a good internal link. And I actually want, remember I mentioned in a prior video where I'm going to talk about water purification and water filtration. So if I come down into the water section, eventually when that article is set up, I'm going to rewrite this, or I'm going to talk about, like I have this is an amazing personal water filtration option here, right? Then I might say something here like says, learn more about water filtration. And I got to put a space in there, huh? And water purification here. And this, I could highlight this, click this, and link internally to that post. And because I have these words here, water filtration and water purification, that helps tell the search engines that, oh, hey, this page says that this page is about water filtration, water purification. So it probably is. So it's kind of like every piece of information that it gets is a vote to help it tell what the content is. So if you have water filtration and backup power going to the same page, it's going to be like, what is this page about, water filtration or backup power, right? So that is how you do internal linking. We're going to take this off real quick. I'm going to add that back in once I have those articles. So that's another thing is once I write this and I publish it, it's not like it's written in stone and can never be changed, right? Even though nowadays we can probably change stuff that's written in stone, but this is something that you want to go back and refine and adjust and improve if you need to. It's not required, but if you need to. And search engines look at that and say, oh, this is updated. This is more current than this other one. That's great, right? So it's like a bonus points. So let me also show you another thing that I did in here is that since I have such a long article, I broke it up into sections, and I have like each one of these goes like, so this one links to my water section, right? So that is what they call anchor text. So this is an anchor text that links over to that section for water. So water is down here, and this is how you do this, right? To do anchor text. I'm in this block and I hit advanced and I type the word in that I want it to be. I choose that, right? It could be number 1 if you wanted it to be. I don't recommend that. I recommend using the words to help for keywords, right? Optimization there. Because the way this also works is even though this is internal on the page, so this isn't just internal linking, this is on page linking, right? Still very powerful, still counts as internal linking. Now, again, I would just use this to help with navigation on the site. I've seen people use it on every single page and they tend to rank. And that's because you're helping the navigation for the reader. So the more you're doing to help the reader, the better it's going to be in the long run. So water here, I have water typed out there. And then up here, I highlight this and you can see, let's just break this and I'll do it. So if I highlight that and I hit this, it's like a little paperclip button. And I put hashtag water. And then I can either hit enter or hit this right here, right? Excuse me. Then that is going to take, when they click on that, that'll take them to the water section. So I can see it says hashtag water. And then and if I wanted to, I could edit that. I could open it in the new tab, but because it's on the same page, I'm not going to. I'm going to let them just jump around on the page. And that's just preference. If I get feedback that says, oh, no, there's too much content, I needed to open another page, I might change it. But so I did that for each and every one of these sections. Besides helping people, another benefit to that is that each one of these sections now has its own URL, right? So we're going to have eastondisasterprep.com/ whatever the post name is. And then I think it's hashtag water or it's / hashtag water. We'll have to play with that later and find out. And that would jump them straight to here. So I can literally have a pin for Pinterest. Let's say I can have a pin that goes to just this section. And then I can have a pin that goes to just this section. And then a pin that goes to just this section. You can see I still have work to do. And what that does is that makes it so that I now have, I don't know, 30 something plus. So there's like 10, 20, 30, like probably 30 plus pins going to this one page, but they're all unique and they all have unique URLs. So I don't violate Pinterest spam policy and I'm helping the viewers find a specific point of contact that they want. So it's a very powerful way for marketing later on to help drive traffic to your pages is when you can break up the content. Even if you were just talking about 3 points and you only have 1,000 words on the page and you have 3 sections, if those 3 sections are 3 different points, you can still do the same thing where you identify those and say, okay, these are the 3 topics we're talking about in this, and each one has an internal link, and then you have a link going to each one from bookmarking sites, from blogs, etc. So, and we'll talk more about that in marketing, but I wanted to show that now. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna hit 30 minutes again, I know. So links, internal, external, and on page we've done. And then there's always a question about sources. Like if you have a source, like even though I'm linking to ready.gov, let's say that you have a source that you can't link to, right? If you have a source you can link to, just link to it. But some of us, especially in academia, may end up with sources like journals or something, that journal articles that you're like, I can't link to it because it's behind locked content. Then you would just want to put the source in there. There is no formatting requirement. You can put it up here in the words, or you can just do like an asterisk and have like a list of references at the bottom, or put a number 1 next to it and have that at the bottom. You can choose a formatting if you want to, if you're used to like APA or MLA or something like that. You can do that. If you're like, hey, I don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Reference however you want to, right? There's no requirements on this. And then the last one, settings on the side. So let's say that I am on this one and I'm like, you know what? Okay, first of all, you can bold and italic, and then there's an underline right here somewhere. You got strike through. There is an underline. But anyway, over here, you've got different sizes. So you can, I think it's actually going to be for the whole box. Yeah, you do the whole box. So this is the entire box. Like if you wanted to make this larger, which I think that kind of looks better anyway, simply because the content was so small. And when you view it, you want to, view it and after you're done on both mobile and regular. And that would help you identify if you need to adjust this. So you've got your content. We already talked about the anchor text over here. You can change text color. Like if you want to change the box text color, you can change that and make it red, let's say. Ew. Purple. Purple is better, right? You can change the background color, right? You can have it, that one's not too bad, right? So traditionally, and so I'm highlighting this piece of information. I don't necessarily want to do that with all of it, but I can do that with this, and that still leaves it white. And if I repeated that, I apologize, because again, I've recorded this a couple times now. Okay, so now we've done that, and you can just play with this, and okay, block selected. So you can play with this and see if there are, if there's anything else that I missed. Categories. We didn't talk about categories. So I meant to talk about categories in the last video and didn't, so I want to make sure I cover that here. I have uncategories here, but I can add a new category from here where it's just a category name, and I can do it all here. Or I can go back here and go into, I gotta find it. Oh, right here, under posts. So I'm gonna go into categories, right? And I can say, I can add a category here. I'm actually going to edit this category because I hate uncategorized. I do not like that name. And I can do everything, maybe everything else. We can make it, unspecified. I just don't like uncategorized because that makes it look like I didn't pay attention to it. So maybe I'll just make it everything else. And then here I can make it everything else. Oh, and hyphens. Yeah, and hyphens. This one's hyphens. Okay. There's no parent category in this one. And then I can come down and update it. And I do want to make sure we look at Yoast SEO in just a minute. So if I go into categories, I can create multiple categories here. Like, so this one, I'm going to say disaster kit. And then here, I can just do disaster kit. And maybe I do disaster kit tips, right? And then make this tips and make that the parent category. And then we talked about how I'm going to do water. And so I'm just going to do water. And this is where water is not very descriptive, right? So I might want to say water preparedness. Did I spell that right? Yeah, repair. And then the same here. The slug is the part that comes, like if I want to go through the category can have it in the URL. So I want to make sure that that also isn't just something random. I want it to be something that's defining and lets the search engines know what it's about. Now this parent category could be disaster kit tips. And so I'm going to add that new category and it's right here, right? So now these categories are set up. Let's go back into here and save draft. And then I have to refresh because it's not seeing it yet. So now it's under everything else right now, but I'm going to put it under disaster kit tips. And I only want it in one category, ideally, because you can have it in multiple, but they've done tests and they said that if it's in more than one category, it tends to confuse things and rank. It's less likely to rank if it's in multiple categories. So if you're looking for search engine optimization ranking, then one category. If you're like, no, I don't really care about search engine optimization ranking, so ranking in search engine results, then you can do whatever you want. All right, so let's look at Yoast really quick, which I was at 30 minutes before I got to Yoast last time, so we're a little bit faster. So right here is Yoast. This is the Yoast SEO plugin right here, and it's telling me SEO. I don't have a focus key phrase, so it's going to tell me it's sad anyway. But then, so I'm not too worried about that because I'm going to go back in and refine this. But let's just put in disaster checklist. No, that sounds horrible, right? Disaster preparedness checklist, if I spell it right. Preparedness checklist. And then I'm going to, I can see mobile result and desktop result. So now it's telling me, maybe it needs work, right? So now I'm going to go through what it's telling me to say. So first of all, the slug, disaster preparedness checklist. That's what this is, disaster, and it's in the slug. So that's good, right? And I could just take off a starting point, and that's my slug now. So, and the slug is going to be here. See, it already changed it. So you could change it here or here. And the meta description is super critical. And I'm glad that they allow you to use AI now because it would be, oh man, it's with Pro though. So you might want to use like ChatGPT because you can use the free version if you don't want to pay for it. Because this lets you define what this is. If you don't put this here, Google puts whatever it wants up there. And I'll tell you what, the automated stuff can be a little weird. So I'll have to think about how to do that, but you want to make sure the keyword's in there. So, if you're prepare for disasters with these disaster preparedness checklist. See how to spell it right. Tips and examples. Learn. I don't want to use the word anecdote. So stories, no, I don't want to do stories. So just examples, right? And then they want you to do more. So improve, and you want to entice people too, right? Get the tips from real life disaster responses. What do you want me to say there? Real. Anyway, that's real. That's a real word. And okay, so now it's still telling me, and this is going to tell me why. And they want me to add some synonyms. Well, actually, that's not even telling me that. That's all premium. So so a lot of the stuff that used to be in it is no longer premium. There are internal links on this. Oh, you know what? There aren't internal links. So it's not detecting. It does, even though on page is internal links, it's not detecting that. So I'm going to add internal links. Key phrase density. The key phrase was found one time. I guess I added it a few more times. So it says recommend a minimum of 22 times for a text of this length. And that'll change based on the length, right? And then key phrase and subheading, use more key phrases or synonyms in your H2 and H3 subheadings. So those are all things it's telling me to do, right? So key phrases or synonyms. If you're like, hey, I don't know what synonyms are, like what they are for it, you can generally say this is disaster preparedness checklist. You could literally go back into like ChatGPT and say, can you please give me 5 synonyms for disaster preparedness checklist? And then I'm hoping it'll come up with, so emergency readiness guide, crisis preparedness plan, emergency response checklist, contingency planning list, survive. The ones that are more popular are like bug out kit, bug out bag, stuff like that. So I already know this is what I'm talking about. AI not as helpful as my brain. So don't tell AI. So you can ask and get some ideas. You can go back to your keyword list and review it if you still have one. If you haven't done it, you can go in and do um keywords everywhere will give you some ideas. So you can also just do synonyms for, just ask Google, right? Which same ones. Seriously. So focus on preparedness. All synonyms should emphasize the act of getting ready for a disaster. You can look through and see what they have in here for preparedness. What is another word for emergency kit? First aid kit is not the same thing as emergency kit. Survival kit. Those are completely different things. So annoying. Anyway, see what I mean? I am way better than AI on my stuff. Anyway, so we're gonna dive into this more in the future. Oh, one more thing before we go. So you can go through and read these and see. So out of 15 images on this page, only one has an alt tab, alt attribute. Remember I said that? That reflects the topic of your text. So we want to make sure that the topics are all related. I still need to go through and do that. I need to add more images. I need to I have most of my links done, but I need to get some internal links, which means I need more internal content. I need more posts, right? So all of that are things that I'm going to work on. But here, there's some things that they don't talk about. Like one is that when you come back up to here and you look at readability, it says word complexity is your vocabulary suited for a larger audience. I don't know why, but it's not really telling me like my level. And so they tell you to write at a 6th grade level. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it depends on your niche and your topic and your audience, right? So 6th grade level, more people can read it, but I don't think I don't know. Anyway, so they're telling you subheading distributions here. 4 sections of your text are longer than 300 words. They only want 300 words in a section. So you can actually click this and it'll highlight. That was not right. Why did it highlight that? Oh, what the heck? What did I hit to highlight on? 4 sections of your text are longer than 300. Oh, 300. No, 300 words. Why is it just highlighting that? Anyway, so it's supposed to tell you the sections. So hopefully those are the sections it's highlighting. So like prescription medications, that's more than 300 words. I don't know why it's not doing non. So you might want to break it up with an extra heading is what they're saying. So like here, in fact, some of these I might want to break up anyway so that it's only 1 or 2 sent. You don't have to do 3 sentences for a paragraph in your articles, right? That's only in academic writing. So on here, online, you can do a single sentence and then highlight it and make it fun. There are no hard and fast rules about this. You create this the way you think it would be good for your audience, right? So in this case, though, they're saying that this is too much content that's not broken up. More than likely, I'm going to add an image in here. I don't know if that'll be enough for them. They want another subheading, it looks like, but I could come up with something and try to break it up so that there's only 300 words in it. If you have 400 words, it's not going to be the end of the world. They're just trying to make it so that it's more readable for people. You can see the way I write is very academic. I have to make a lot of changes in order to make this less academic. It's just the way it is. So the other thing I did was I took all of this, and if you happen to have Word, you can paste it into a Word document and you can get some information. I don't know why they went from 80 to 91. So if you want formal writing, professional, or casual. So I'm going to do casual writing and see what it says. Ooh, 92%. Now, spelling and grammar are listed in here. Something else that I'm using on here is Grammarly so that while I'm writing, I can see if there are any issues and I can make changes. A lot of grammar issues are just me being literally, like I'm adding in words that they don't like. And they're like, well, that's just not concise. And I'm like, it is for Gen X. So literally is literally our word. So it could be millennial too. But anyway, the point is that some of these are this one. It's all because it's all caps, right? Well, I want it to be all caps to emphasize it. So that's the way Kim writes. So I'm not going to change everything, but they're telling me there's some grammar issues. There are 42, which for how long this is not too bad. So I could go through and see if I can refine it a little bit. I can check the spelling ones. They said clarity, there's 24. And let's see, are they going to tell me which ones? Yeah, so they're telling me this one and they're telling me what they recommend. This is kind of cool because you have to pay Grammarly for this. And eh, I mean, this is, I haven't seen this. This is the first time I've been playing with this in Word. I was like, what? I haven't obviously typed in Word for a while. Similarity. So I had it checked for my content I wrote, which by the way, I've done this before where I wrote an article and I put it into an AI generator thing. And it was like, it's 90% chance it's AI. And I'm like, dude, that's ridiculous. I wrote it. But it was formatted the way AI told me to format it, like as far as like the sections and stuff. So I think that's what it was catching. But this one says 0% of your text is similar to online sources, which means I have unique content. So it's telling me that in Word, right? I don't have to run it through any other source. Then I can click on document stats and I can see that I have, why does it say I have 13 words? I want the entire document. So it's going to take a second to do this because it's the entire document. But it's this document stats is where I'm going to see the passive voice, which you saw that in Yoast. It tells me that. But here it tells me that I have a Flesh Kincaid grade level of 8.3. Now, ideally, that's at 6. Actually, 8.3 is not bad at all. When I get into the 11s and 12s, that's when I'm like, oh, I got to rewrite this. Passive sentences are only 4.6%, which is good. I can even try to get that down lower if I want. Passive sentences are not super critical. It's just that they're not as, I guess, concise. We'll go with concise. They're not exact. They're not telling people exactly what you want. So changing passive sentences to active sentences helps you define what you're trying to say a little bit better. Kim speaks English, I swear. Something like that. But I've seen sometimes where the suggestions are better from what I've written. And I'm like, oh man, that's actually pretty good. So 4.6% is really good for me. Anything less than 10%, I'm like, woo, good job, Kim. So this is just gives you kind of an idea. So if you have Word, if you don't have Word, it's not the end of the world. You're probably going to get a general idea anyway of whether this is going to be readable by other people or not. And there are plenty of different levels and different people want different type of content. So that is it. We made it under an hour significantly. We're going to make it under 40 minutes. So write your content, start getting images in it, and do your interlinking. And then in the next video, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more, right? We're going to go ahead and add some more. I'll have some more posts so I can show you interlinking a little bit better. And then we'll start to refine some of the other areas, right? And for now, though, this should get you started so that you're really close. We're really close to launching a site, right? To get started. So we do have some refining to do, though. So we'll go ahead and get these articles up. Try to aim for anywhere between 5 and 10 articles, and then we'll go to the next steps in the next video. I'll see you next time.